No. All right. I'm gonna trade you 2 sheep for that wood. Tell me, honey, does that sound good? 'Cause all I really wanna do is take away longest road from you, yeah. Welcome to these tabletop sessions. Welcome to these tabletop sessions. Hello, fellow gregarious geeks and gamers. Welcome to the 34th episode of the Tabletop Sessions podcast. We're back! This is your monthly dose of tabletop gaming stories and shenanigans. My name is Elias, and with me is the one and only, irreplaceable, non-fungible, Ippokratic.
Hello, everybody. This is Ippokratic. Thank you for calling me irreplaceable. It's obvious that everybody else was replaceable by me.
On that note, before we get started, we're back, but with a few changes you should know about. So it's just me and Ippo for now. We're going to try to get Byron and Deema back on sometimes, but it's not going to be consistent. Byron is just not playing enough games down in South Africa, and Deema thinks she's better than us. Don't worry about it. We still love them, and we are still happily married to at least one of them. So you might be asking...
minor changes.
Just minor changes. Half the cast is gone, but all's good. You might be asking yourself, hey, in episode 33, you said you'd be back in a couple months. You'd be right. But man, that COVID lasted a minute there, huh? Like that didn't go away. We didn't have consistent game nights till pretty recently. And, you know, for how long COVID lasted, we'd like to, of course, take personal accountability and responsibility. We're sorry. We'll try to do better next time.
I mean,
so
we need to hear the old episodes and see how long we were predicting that this pandemic will go. I mean, I don't remember.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think we ended in January, and I was like, we'll be back in April. And that was a couple years ago.
I remember we were planning to come to Canada for the Origins. Right?
That's right.
And we were saying, it's going to be closed for 3 months, but probably we're going to be ready for Origins in 2020.
Yeah, so again, we're sorry about COVID. We will do better next time on the next pandemic. But of course, no Deema means there will be no game show of the week. Boo, I'm sure Ippo's celebrating that he doesn't have to lose every week to me.
I didn't lose every week.
Byron means...
I clearly remember times that I won.
Yeah, I mean, I have the stats right here. Hold on, let's just pull that up real quick.
Let's don't go there.
Ippokratic won 7 out of 27 competed in. That is a 25.9 win percentage. I won 16 out of 26, so that's 61.5%.
25.
But who's counting? No one's keeping track.
25% is better than a Ferrari this year.
That's true.
Let's put it this way.
That's true. All right, but that's not a high bar anymore. Anyway, so no Byron, unfortunately, also means no news because neither Ippo and I give a shit about the news. So it's just going to be banter and Ippokratic Corner. But let's face it, I did a survey. That's the stuff you guys like. Well, you know that. So Ippo, before we get started, what's up? Have you been any new acquisitions? Anything cool you've been up to recently?
Wait. First of all, I want to say that I give a shit about the news. I mean, sometimes Byron was telling us interesting things like, I don't know, like the new Zaya version is coming out and there is this new plastic red miniature that in the previous version was blue or something like that.
I'm sure you'll be thrilled to hear that sometimes he gave some interesting information. Okay.
Okay, let me tell you about how this is like 2 years later, 3 years later.
Yeah, I don't want to know everything you bought in the last 3 years, but have you bought anything recently that was good? Any good acquisitions? Or are you still just relying on other people buying games for you?
Okay, I have to be honest here. I have a copy of Elias, who who's a guy that buys like every new game. Uh, I would say it's not just one; it's more than one people that are doing that. So they're helping a lot. But at the same time, it's interesting that the first thing that I acquired when you left the country was Cryptid.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because I felt I need a deduction game, and everybody loves a deduction game. And Cryptid was a blast with the new group of gamers that were playing games here in Qatar, because the old group was dismantled after your your leave.
I don't think we call it dismantle. It's just victim to the ravages of time
Oh,
is more what it is. You know, it's
yeah.
more poetic than that. We were a great empire, and now
And
just a
now,
shambles of broken
yeah,
skyscrapers.
some people, yeah, I mean, life happened. I mean, some people have kids now that they didn't have before. Some people have spouses that they didn't have before. And some people are the same. Yeah, sorry, I want to
That
mention one more game that I played,
yeah, yeah, go for it.
that I acquired. That was Sleeping Gods,
Oh yeah,
which was very interesting because we went to the Abu Dhabi Comic Con, and I was ready to buy this beautiful game that I had made the research last summer, and I was thinking this is probably the best game to replace my finished Seventh Continent campaign that I was playing solo. So I was thinking probably this is the best thing to do that. But then when I finished the campaign, you know, we had this white box of the Seventh Continent, the expansion.
yeah.
So I was not feeling starting the new campaign. I was thinking, okay, I played like 4 different curses. I don't need 4 more curses of the Seventh Continent, maybe it's too much. Maybe, or probably, it would have made the difference if Lena was playing with me and it would be a 2-player game. So I found Sleeping Gods in Abu Dhabi, and I was thinking, you know something, no, I don't want to play solo again. And I was telling Lena and the kids, and the next day they go and buy it for me as a surprise. And they say, okay, Dad, we're going to play it with you. So that was very sweet of them.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose the question is, will they play it with you?
Yeah, I mean, the question, what?
Your kids are here.
Yeah, and they're on time. just, just talking about it.
Hello.
So yes, so far, only Thalia joined me in one game, and the rest of them, let's see what happens.
Let's see, indeed.
But
sure.
I'm really excited on this game. I mean, I have read the rules, I have watched the videos, I have watched the playthroughs.
Awesome.
They have done a fantastic job, and
Yeah, I'd love to try one of those like Red Raven storybook style games where you're flipping through the different maps on the pages. They all seem pretty cool. Um, but yeah, I've been receiving a bunch of Kickstarters. I haven't been buying as much as I used to, just because my group here, they all buy games pretty consistently. So, you know, I'm not saying they're better than you. I'm just saying that
but you feel the peer pressure to keep up with them.
not really. No.
No?
No, we all I have the largest collection, so my ego's intact. But basically
Oh,
what's been coming in, Frosthaven came in, I've been playing that just a lot. I got that pretty early compared to most people in Canada. I got that in December. So I'm like waist deep in Frosthaven with Deema.
2 players.
Mud and Side Effects. Yeah, we've been playing 2 players. Mud and Side Effects came in. If you remember, we did an interview with the publishers and designers of that game back in episode 31 that arrived.
Oh yeah,
And and if you remember, I promised you and Byron, whoever came to visit me first would get their pick between those games. So they're still in shrink, and they're still waiting on one of you to come visit.
Oh my god.
And I traded for a couple great games. Space Alert, traded Quacks of Quedlinburg for that, which I was pretty hype about. And Falling Sky, the coin game based on the Gallic Revolt against Caesar. And you know how I feel about coin games by GMT, so I'm excited about those too. But yeah, those have been the main ones that have come in recently in the last month or so.
I was feeling the same about coin games, but remember we bought. I mean, I bought Labyrinth in Steam
Oh yeah,
to play the. You did too, right?
no,
It
because
was,
it's a terrible game. But it's not. That's not a coin game. That's more of like in
It's
the
not?
Twilight Struggle style. It's a CDG, isn't it?
Oh,
Let's see. Yeah.
it is like Twilight Struggle. I thought there was also.
I think
Man,
the central concept of coin being that deck of cards that comes out with the order of factions on the top. And depending on if you choose to activate that card or not, you follow certain things that you can do, whether you can do operations or the events on the card. So if it doesn't have that central system, I don't think that counts as a coin game. So
Okay.
yeah. Plus
So,
it doesn't say coin on the box. So that's a good hint right there.
So forget about that.
So what have you been playing recently?
Yes, so I have been playing a lot of Blood on the Clocktower, which is a social deduction game. Social deduction game in this group was a big thing. When I found these guys, they were playing Secret Hitler constantly. Like, basically, the purpose of meeting was playing Secret Hitler. So it was a bunch of guys that they loved social deduction. And the good thing with open groups and social deduction is that every time that a new player is coming, a new gamer is coming, a new joiner is there, he can just pops in and play
Yeah.
directly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love social deduction. I'm not sure if I love the mechanism or the idea, the social aspect of the games. I remember when I first met you, we were playing heavy games every night, every game night. And in the end, we were playing Avalon. Remember that?
Yeah, yeah.
And that was my favorite time of the night.
I think
Playing
Resistance
Avalon in the end.
playing Resistance is how I met your wife, Lena, initially. The first time we met her, we were playing a game of Resistance and she didn't know what a sneaky bastard I was. And so she believed me. And so she's like, if I'm sure of one thing on this table, it's that Elias is telling the truth. And
Oh my God.
I was leading her. And basically we won the game. And she, since then, has not trusted me on a single game.
See, there is a meta game.
Yeah,
But Lena still has a story about that. She still remembers that.
Oh yeah,
she will
I'm
say
sure
that.
she felt like the knife between her ribcage. Like that's not an
Like-
easy thing to be like. All right, I don't know all these people, but I feel like that guy is telling me the truth. I'm gonna put my faith in him.
Because
and
that
then
guy looked me in the eyes and he
Yeah.
told me that he's not
Seriously, look at me. I'm telling you, on my life. Anyway,
Yeah, that sounds
yeah.
sounds like Lena.
Yeah, no, she really believed me. She trusted me. So yeah, so they were always a major part of our game nights for sure. And I know you love, especially Avalon. That used to be your go-to.
Yeah, so Avalon also. Then after Secret Hitler, awkward guests came to the group.
Hmm.
Have you ever played that game?
No.
It's a funny little deduction game. Then I got cryptid, and then I realized, actually I didn't realize, I watched the video of Shut Up and Sit Down review of the Blood in the Clock Tower,
Yeah.
which was very exciting, and I was thinking I need to play this game. At that time, the game was not out, so I made a print and play version of the game, and I just went in a Thursday night. Everybody was there, like I think it was like 12 people, and I was the storyteller.
Nice.
So in this game, every player has a different character and different abilities, and it's mainly like every other social deduction game or it's like Werewolf, where there is this aspect of there is the day where we're discussing everything, then we're voting a guy and he's dead, we're executing one guy, and then during the night the evil guys are awake and they're killing somebody.
Yeah.
But
At
they
nighttime,
have
where all evil happens. Yeah.
exactly. But they took this to another level. So some people say that even the latest versions, the latest edition of Werewolf has like different characters for every player.
Yeah.
But this is really amazing what happens in this game. So I was the storyteller. The game needs one storyteller, one like game master that will arrange everything. And I have a story to say about
Tell me.
the second time that we played. It was basically the first time that my kids, Thalia and Phoebe, they are 10 and 12. They love social deduction because they have played the Werewolf in the classroom. And they said, okay, Dad, please get us there, we're gonna play. So the first night I take Phoebe. Phoebe comes, she plays, everything is fine. Then the little one wants to play, and I said, okay, next Thursday I will take you, let's go and play. But I was not sure that Thalia can actually do it because it's a fairly complicated game.
Sure.
But she came there, we played one game, so she was just watching in the first game. And in the second game, she insisted, said, Dad, I want to play. And I was thinking, okay, she spent the night with us, yeah, let's give her, let's give it a try. And I remember Tumi, a girl was the storyteller that night, and I say to her, give to Thalia, please, a very easy role, maybe something that she doesn't need to wake up every night or take crucial decisions.
Yep.
Just maybe she could have like an information in the beginning and nothing else. And the game starts, the Tumi distributes the roles, and she looks at me and she says, oh, I forgot to do what you told me. So now I have, the game starts and I have no idea what is the role of Thalia. And it's a 12 players game and everybody's an adult. So I'm the only guy that brought his kid to play. And I'm feeling terrible because I might ruin the game for everybody,
yeah, sure,
for everybody else.
Yeah.
And so Thalia seems like at the same time scared, but okay. And the first night, we learned that either Hrag or Thalia is the chef. So the chef in this game knows how many pairs of evil people are in the game.
Okay.
Which means how many evil guys are sitting next to each other. Okay. And because of my role, I know that my neighbors, the people that are sitting next to me, are good guys. So I'm okay that Thalia is a good guy, and I asked Hrag, are you the chef? He says, no, I'm not the chef. I don't know what's going on. So Thalia is the chef. So Thalia, during the first night, should get a number from the storyteller, which is the number of pairs of evil people in the game.
Sure.
So I say, Thalia, what's the number that the storyteller told you? And Thalia says, I don't know. And I'm thinking, fuck, I fucked the game. I brought my kids, she's too young, she was 9 at that time. I was thinking, oh, she was not ready for this. I said, Thalia, are you sure? I mean, the storyteller came and told you a number. She says, sorry, Dad, I didn't get it, I'm confused. So I asked Thalia, okay, go to the storyteller and ask her again what is the number that she showed to you, because this is your first game and things happen to new players, which is a true thing. I mean, also adults screw up in the first night when they first play the game, They're confused. They don't know what's exactly going on. So Thalia is doing that. She comes back and she said the number is 0. So there's no evil guys sitting next to each other, which is possible. I mean, in a 12-player game, it's like 4 to 6 evil players, so 4 to 5, I think, or 3 to 5. I don't remember exactly. So we play the game. We're doing the deductions. In the end, we execute the demons. We win, and now the storyteller comes to us and says, "Okay, who do you think was the demon?" And we say, "Okay, this guy was the demon." Oh, the storyteller says, "Yes, congratulations, you were right." She goes to the next one, the next one, the next one. So we deduct everybody correctly. And in the end, she says, "Okay, and who is Thalia?" And we said, "Thalia is the chef." She told us the 0. She says, "No, Thalia is the spy."
Oh, no.
I was like, how could it be the
She
spy?
played you.
I said, "Thalia, what happened?" She said, "Dad, when everybody was insisting that I'm the chef, I went to the storyteller and I said to her, okay, these guys think I'm the chef. They think I know a number. What should I say?" And the storyteller told her, "Say any number." So she said, "I came up with 0.
Oh my God, so good. Oh, that's great.
And so Thalia says that, and the rest 11 players, they stand up and they have a round of applause for Thalia. Because nobody could figure that out. I mean, it was the most surprising thing that ever happened in this game.
Amazing.
But
teaches you a lesson about underestimating people that you play with, even if they are 9-year-old children.
And this is really a typical story of this game where surprises are coming one after the other, and you're looking around and you're trying to trust somebody, but at the same time, other people should trust you in order to have the exchange of information needed.
Amazing.
The game is beautiful, and I think we have only scratched the surface because there is 3 different setups of the game with 3 different combinations of characters, and we have only played the first one. And now AK got his copy, the Kickstarter copy. So now we have the actual game. We don't need to play the print and play anymore.
Oh, this is always the print and play. Okay, very cool.
That was the print and play at that time.
I want to buy that game. Now, it's just so expensive, and
really, how much?
I think to get in Canada, I think it's well over $100. So
it's coming from Australia, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think it's because of that. So, and honestly, my group here, the main group that I play with, like most of the time, they don't do party games. Like,
yeah, that's the main thing.
A filler for them is like, a study in Emerald. That's like a filler, So they they don't do heavy games. So I mean, they do some fillers. That's not fair. We did Furnace. We played Parade. They left Parade, Red 7.
Furnace is a heavy filler.
But they don't do party games specifically,
So what are you doing after the end of the heavy game? I mean,
we play a heavy filler, and then we discuss strategy and where things fell apart, and then we all look at each other and go, "Why did we even meet? Cheng was going to win anyway." And then that's. I do have another group that we play more like Ameritrashy games, So, not Ameritrash specifically, but things that would need dice rolling or combat. They're much more in that style. So I think there's more hope for that group with party games. But I will say that since I came to Canada, I don't think I've played a single party game. Like, it's all been, they're games, but not, and fillers, but not party games specifically. So I don't know. Maybe
if you go to Board Game Geek, to the Blood in the Clocktower page, there are, I think in the forum, they have like meetings for Blood in the Clocktower.
Yeah, over here in Toronto,
just to play that.
On Meetup, there's like a weekly. There was going for a while a weekly Blood in the Clocktower meetup over there. So yeah, I just me, I don't really like talking to people that I don't know. So I was never going to do that. So we'll see. But yeah, I'd love to try it sometime. And, I'm sure, you know, I can at some point convince them
It
to
will
do it.
never happen to you if you want 12 people that you know to play the game.
That's true. That's true. Although I am working on 12 people for Mega Civilization, but I'm counting on you to come visit at that time to
Uh,
get the people
I
that I
will
need.
just get the plane just for that.
Oh yeah, I traded for Mega Civilization. That's one of the recent trades. All right, yeah. So that's awesome. That's really cool. On that note, so I was thinking about like, what should I talk about? So I just wanted to read you a list of the last 10 or so games that I've been playing. Gloomhaven, Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, Parade, Furnace, Frosthaven, Gloomhaven, Container, Frosthaven, Frosthaven. So I think you can see a pattern here. I've been playing a lot of Frosthaven, but also I've been playing an online campaign with Mo of Gloomhaven, Digital Gloomhaven, and they're going on at the exact same time. I'm about the same number of games into both of them. And so I'm working on sort of a comparison between the two of them and what's good about both of them. So I'm going to save that
Wow.
probably till the next episode because by that point we would have retired characters in both and so I would have some sort of comparison of the story elements along with the actual gameplay elements. So just that's coming. But on that topic of like RPG style stuff, I've been playing a D&D campaign and we've been playing it in person, which is awesome. And a couple weeks ago, we had an in-session D&D like day. We were 6 people, I think. We played on my awesome game table. So we had like the felt removed, and then we had the maps underneath the acrylic um, uh, thing, so we could draw directly on the table and move
Wait.
characters.
You're playing 6 players?
D&D, yeah. So we had a 5-person party with a DM. And
Wow. I mean, I feel that's very difficult to
no, it
arrange.
was amazing. It was amazing. And then we had like, have you ever had raclette, like French raclette, where you melt the cheese and stuff?
Yes.
Yeah, so we had that,
Oh,
and then we had chocolate fondue, and then we had a bunch of snacks, and people came from all over, awesome people,
you
and
know,
we
you
had
know something?
such.
Fuck Mega Civilization. I will come for the raclette.
All right, we'll do raclette when we do Mega
I will.
Civilization.
I prefer raclette and fondue and wine.
Yeah, and that's what we did. We just spent the whole day playing games, and it was so nice because the last I don't know, the last time I've had an in-person D&D session was I was still living in Canat Cartier in Qatar. So it was like 2017 or something. So then we came to Canada. I was playing online because of COVID, and then we got to play in person. And we actually have another session on Sunday in a couple days. So that was awesome. And it was the first time we bring sort of two groups together. So one of the group was the Ameritrashy group, and the other one is our usual D&D group and friends in general. And they're all friends in general. But we kind of brought them together to see what would happen, and it was great. It worked really well. Um,
Oh,
the Ameritrashy group, they knew a lot about D&D, but they never played D&D in person, so they listened to D&D podcasts,
oh,
but they never played, and they were hilarious because they were like con artists. So like everywhere we went, no matter what was happening, they kept trying to sell people like colored water and be like, what would solve your problem? I happen to have this anti, whatever potion, right?
my God.
And it was so good because one of them was called Brother Calamity, and wherever we went, he just was trying to sell shit to people, and it was so much fun. We had this thing happen. So with this group, when we've played in the past, I you know me with dice, right? Like I don't do dice very well,
You
so it's
love
very
dice.
rare for me to roll a natural 20, right? So previously in the past, I was playing this dwarf ranger character called Zyphals, and I was doing terrible with my dice rolling. But at one point, we came across these giant mooses. We came across some giant moose. I should know that being in Canada, but I happened to roll a natural 20 on animal handling, and our DM had to basically make that moose and me best friends, and then it just stayed with me for several sessions after that and we named the moose Pamplemousse, right? Like like pumple, like grapefruit in French, right? So since we had the same DM and stuff, I bought beer for this session, and I brought like a Pamplemousse Radler beer. So
Oh my god.
so at some point during the game, again, I don't roll natural 20s. We're being confronted by this giant scorpion spider thing. And like, I go, all right. I'm like, so at this point, I'm a bard. So this is different. But I guess it's set in the same universe because I go, all right, I'd like to know if I know what the natural predator of the giant scorpion spider thing is because I'd like to create an illusion or something. I had some sort of spell that worked with that, minor illusion or something like that. And he goes, all right, roll for me, whatever it was. I rolled natural 20. He has to give me something good.
Oh,
So he goes, you remember in your travels, you'd come across a young dwarf ranger named Zyphals, and he told you that most people wouldn't know this, but the natural predator of a giant scorpion slash spider is a giant moose. And I'm like, oh my God. So, so I start making moose sounds coming out of different sections of the cavern to scare off this scorpion. And it was just, oh man, we had such a good time. And then last thing
like
about it, I don't want to keep
you
going.
always remember your first natural 20.
That's what I hear. That's what I hear. The best part about this is, so we moved to Canada. We made friends from all over, from meetups, from all sorts of things. But so Deema made friends with this person she used to work with, and then that person left the company, and we stayed friends with her and her partner. Then another person joined the company, and we found out they play board games. So Deema invited them over, him, and his brother, and we made friends with him. And then that guy left the company, the hospital, I should say. That's the two groups we combined together to make this D&D group. So
What's going on with Deema?
and they didn't know that, right? So they found out during the D&D session, and somebody was like, this is Deema's master plan. She manipulates the situation to make these people leave the company because they're unhappy or whatever, so that we could create the ultimate D&D group. So now Deema is like the super villain mastermind behind this ultimate D&D group.
So we hope that Deema's boss is not listening to this podcast.
We really do hope that. Yeah.
she will know she's the next.
She's
coming
pulling
in your D&D
strings.
group.
They call her the spider because she has hands on everything,
In what world do you play this D&D campaign? Is it do you play Ravenloft?
No,
Or
I think it's just Sword Coast stuff. But let me just pull up something real quick and tell you, he's created his own sort of history. He calls it
nice.
the city Azuth founded. I don't know if that's based on Wizard's material or if it's his own material, but that's what we're basing it on. So.
Oh my god, you have a DM with energy.
Oh, he's a forever DM and he loves this shit. Well, I hope he loves it because no one else is DMing.
I mean, always the DM at some point he's going to ask you, okay, guys, in the next campaign, would you like somebody else to be the DM? And
Nope.
not that guy.
Well, I think he's asked before, and we just said no. So
It's gonna be difficult. I mean, if you are a DM for such a long time, and then you have like some requirements from the new DM, some expectations that are hard to be fulfilled.
I think that's why he's one of my favorite DMs. AK was like this too, where they let the story take precedence over the rules, right? So, for example, if we don't know something, rather than spend 20 minutes searching all the manuals to find for it, he'll be like, we're just playing like this. And because of that, we always get great stories out of it, which is what I play D&D for. As someone who likes to write and all that. The stories are what I come back for. I could not care less about which dice I roll and the efficiency and the damage of this particular damage attack over here and takes up a spell slot too. Like, I prefer just to have a really good story. And no offense to you if you're that person, more power to you. Just don't mess. Just don't tell me I'm.
No.
Just don't
I'm
ruin
not
this.
that person, and I have not met that person. I don't know anybody that is like that.
I
That
know those.
would prefer the rules rather. Really?
Yeah.
Where are they?
So the last group I was playing online.
Are they in North Canada?
Actually, I think he was in the States, but one of them was a bit of a rules lawyer. But he was fun and he was great, and nobody was better than him at coming off a speech like off the top of his head that was so good. But he was a stickler for the rules. You know what I mean? And I couldn't care less. So yeah. So D&D, we have another session on Sunday. I'm looking forward to it. It's so nice to be playing in person again, and yeah.
Let me tell you one story that I heard today about D&D with Patsatsufis. He told me that he tried to play D&D with chat GTP. And so they go to battle and they roll for initiative, and the trolls are going first. So they do something, Patsatsufis replies, they hit, and the chat GPT goes, okay, what do you want to do now? And Patsatsufis says, that was my turn, now I guess it's the troll's turn. And ChatGPT replies, yeah, I forgot to tell you, they don't want to do anything.
That's amazing.
So we were discussing that Chat GPT is GTP. Sorry, it's like a 5-year-old that he's just doing excuses, making excuses when they forget something or they're wrong about it. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Sorry, I forgot that. Yes, yeah, they're not doing anything.
They don't want to do anything. They're on their lunch break. That's amazing.
Yeah, so that's not ready for the
Mo keeps asking ChatGPT to write all these like mashup fictions, right? And then he sends it to me, and it's always trash. So at one point he goes, so we listen to this podcast both of us listen to this podcast called Fall of Civilizations, which each episode is the story of how a civilization collapsed. And he's like, I was wondering, what if all these were happening at the same time? So I asked ChatGPT to write a story about all these civilizations crashing in the same era. And the shit that it's amazing. It starts like, I'm just pull this up right here because...
Is it amazing, like good amazing, or like
no, it's
really
awful amazing. Here, I just want to read the first couple lines. Sorry, because it's like 38 pages. Okay. This is the first line. You are a time traveling sorry. What?
What?
You are a time traveling historian storytelling robot.
Wait, the first sentence is amazing. I'm gonna read that book.
Second sentence. You need to gather information about the user goals, objectives, and examples of the preferred output and other relevant information. So good. It's so good. And then the last line of the first paragraph. Your return should be formatted clearly and optimized for award-winning storytelling. I couldn't.
They just get the random phrases like
amazing. It's sort of like the first sentence gave it an excuse to treat it like an AI, right? So the first word I was like, "You're a robot." Okay, let's go from here. But yeah, you're right. It is kind of like a 5-year-old telling a story. I mean, I think I literally have stories written when I was 5 that was like, "I'm a time traveling robot." Pirate ninja.
/ ninja.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, let me tell you the other game I played, which was a game from 2022. That's why I'm proud of it. Of course, it was not my acquisition. A friend of mine bought it. And the game is Circadians Chaos Order. Have you ever heard of this game?
Never.
Really? Okay, this is supposed to be a very nice new area control game with different factions on a map, modular map made by hexagons. And
wow, original.
uh, and its faction have soldiers and they have leaders. That's also very original. Which reminds us of Dune and many other games, and maybe Twilight Imperium. The crazy thing about this is that it's a up to 6-player game, and it's asymmetric. So its faction is getting points in a different way. It's not very asymmetric. It's not
that's
like
what I was gonna. Is it like root or is it like Terra
no,
Mystica?
it's more like Terra Mystica, or I would say Twilight Imperium.
Okay, all right. But that's good because otherwise the amount of teaching it would take for 6 players playing different factions would be
Exactly. So I cannot tolerate anymore. I mean, I cannot play any other game that is like root and just listen for 2 hours of rules. Of course, you're not supposed to listen to 2 hours of rules if you are playing root. You're supposed to learn the game yourself and then present yourself and say, okay, I know the game, let's start playing.
But we all know what people do instead.
Exactly. So this game is best with 4 players. We played it 5. It was 5 hours with teaching. It's an area control game. And the nice touch is that the main goal is to occupy 6 relics. Relics are some certain objects on different hexagons on the map. So we start with 6 relics, and if at the end of the first round somebody has control of all 6 relics, wins the game. But in the end of the round, relic number 6 is going out of the game. So if nobody wins in the first round, then in the second round there are only 5 relics. And it goes like that. So in the 6th round there's only 1 relic, and whoever has control of it wins the game.
Okay.
This is the one way to win the game, and each faction has a second way of winning the game.
Okay.
Some factions are getting points by winning battles. There is a faction that gains points by killing leaders. My faction was gaining points by advancing in the technology tree.
Okay.
And this technology tree was the best thing that this game has to offer. Okay. The game had like 5 different actions, where one action was to advance in the tech tree, the other is to build some buildings on the map, gain resources, recruit soldiers, or move. These are the 5 actions. But each of these actions can be upgraded 5 times. So the technology tree is on the map. It's actually next to the map. It's in front of everybody, and it's only these 5 stages for each of these 5 actions. So 25 all in all. So this was the best thing for me, because in my first game, I really had a vision of what was going on in the game. I could see where is everybody, what exactly is trying to do, and what I can, upgrade instead of upgrading something else and gaining a small advantage against my opponents. So this is what I really liked. I have played also in the last month Kemet, and we played also what was the game that is just a technology tree, the Galaxy game,
Beyond.
Yes, Beyond the Universe. No, Beyond the Sky. Beyond the Sky?
No.
Anyway, so
Beyond the Sun. Beyond the Sun.
Beyond the Sun. Okay, Beyond the Sky was close. So in these games, I was feeling really lost. There were too many things going on. In this one, really, from the first game, I felt like, okay, now something is really, understandable to every player. What I didn't like with this game was that the illustration of the hexagons, there were like different types of terrain, like swamps and plains and fields, but everything was really dark. So it was
Yeah, it's like
like
various versions of brown, from what I can see.
exactly. It was really indistinguishable to me. I mean, I couldn't see. I was trying to see where are the swamps and things like that. But I think other than that, the only other objection, the only other con I have to say about this game was that in the last round I couldn't win. Uh, I was winning if the round was over and nobody else is winning. So what I did was I just blocked another player from playing. So I moved my soldiers next to his soldiers. So his soldiers had to stay and battle instead of moving.
Yep.
And I really didn't feel good about it. I mean, it was like pathetic. I mean, there's nothing I can do. The other guy, by the way, was gaining points by killing leaders. So I sent my armies without my leaders. So even if he wins, he won't take them. I mean, it was really strange.
Oh, it sounds like that's an Ippo move right there. He
Yeah,
gains points by killing leaders, so I'm not going to make any leaders.
yeah, I'm just gonna have him there so he cannot move to go to other leaders and kill them and win the game since I'm second. Anyway, with that move, I was supposed to win the game, but another guy finally won the game because he had a different goal, like occupying swamps or something like that, and he was not supposed to battles, but he won all battles and win the game in the last round.
Yeah.
Which was a very nice thing because everybody was close. In the end, there were like 4 different factions that could win the game in the last round.
Sure.
So I like that very much.
How long
I
is
also-
it? 5 hours with the teach, right?
5 hours with the teach, 5 players. I also liked very much that they had standees for the leaders. So each player had like 3 leaders. So you could see who's the leader of the opponent and check what he's doing because there are not like 100 leaders out there.
How does combat work? Is it a luck-based thing, or is it more like Kemet where you play a card? Or
So combat is like Dune, I would say. So you have like 1 combat point per soldier that you are bringing to the battle, plus your leader's attribute, and the opponent has the same. But at the same time, you have a wheel, and the wheel gives you 3 or 4 options that you can add: strength or attack or defense. Attack or defense is just changing the number of killed soldiers that the opponent will have in the end of the battle, not the winning, not defining the winner. Only strength defines the winner. So strength is only soldiers and the attribute of the leader, plus the 1 card that you can play. That reminds me a lot of Dune, I guess.
all right, well, thank you for describing generic the game. I appreciate that. It sounds very exciting. I'm okay with never trying that game.
I mean, you don't find anything like
I mean, you just
distinguishing the
described
game.
every game. This is
Yeah.
every Kickstarter game, right? Factions, right? Multiple ways to win, multiple abilities, playing on a hex map. Combat is the number of things you have plus a leader ability. Like, I mean, I don't know. I feel
right.
like I played the
Okay.
game before and I've never played the game.
You're right. So let me emphasize in the one one benefit, one good thing about this game, which is the tech tree. It's not really a tech tree because, as I said before, it's the actions. You're just upgrading your actions. But this is the most important part of the game.
Okay.
This is where you decide how many moves we're gonna do in the next round, how many buildings you're gonna build, what are going to be your resources, how many resources you're gonna gain. Should you go for recruitments, or should you go for battles, more battles, less recruitment, or more resources? So you need to balance this.
Okay.
This is the best thing in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to turn over a new leaf in my life. Like, I'm trying not to be so negative about everything. Like, I understand that people put their hearts and soul and hard work into a game. So I will say that, if you like that kind of game, that sounds cool. And the idea of like a tech tree developing, your actions to be more efficient, whilst you can get that in multiple games. It's not super common in games like, Kemet and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's cool. I mean, I would be down to try it. I'm not a bad person anymore.
Let me say that this is an 8 in BGG,
That means nothing to me though.
and I gave it a 6.8.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. If
I
you
mean,
gave it a
that's
6.8, I'd probably try it. Okay. All right. I'm down. When I come visit, which is probably never, we can try
if you come visit, this is probably gonna be in the top 100 list of the things we're gonna do.
Awesome. All right. Well, a game we played a couple times and I know that you love is John Company. So I got the second edition. The Kickstarter came a few months ago. And with you, first edition, I think we played the game a couple of times. And I've now played the second edition also a couple of times. So I have pretty decent idea of the game, as much as you can get an idea of John Company without, the game is kind of an enigma wrapped within an enigma. So if you don't know about John Company, it's about the British East India Company. So the military aspects from like Robert Clive to the adventuring aspects of trade, opening trade routes in various parts of India, to the managing of the company back in London and having your people take positions and shareholders within the company, to retiring and getting lovely estates, which is the ultimate point of the game, which is to have lots of estates in your family. And the game itself, it's very complicated. I don't want to get into it too much, but it's based around occupying positions within the company. So everything from chairman down to writers in various departments. You can also be a shareholder, so there is that element of the game. There's military positions you can have, so you can be a military leader in the various parts of India, so Madras, Bombay, so on. And what you do in the game, basically based on whether you're a military or a president of a part of India, or rather a president of operations that are occurring in a part of India. You can launch trade ships and you can gamble. You can open routes up militarily, but you again gamble with the people of India resisting and rebelling against you. And while all this is happening, there's sort of something naturally occurring in the game, which is India kind of occurs by itself. It's almost an AI system, and it's amazing. And it's so cool that even if you did nothing militarily within India, things would happen. The Mughal Empire might expand to all of India, or it might collapse in on itself. It's got all these cool things happening internally that are based on a deck and a chart. So, which sounds fascinating, but it takes it makes actual things happen in the game, and that's always stuff I love, where you're within a world that has things occurring, and you're pulling levers and strings within that world. For me, theme is a 10 out of 10. Like they've integrated the theme so well, and I adore the East Indian. Like I listen to the Empire podcast, which has a couple of people that are experts on the topic. I've read multiple books on the Honorable Company and all the.
Oh my God!
The idea of coming from a colonized country, the idea of a company colonizing a country, it's just so fascinating. And then even at the point where the Raj was about to be established, at that point, right before that, the British had an army of like 100,000, and the company had 200,000 made up of mercenaries and sepoys that they hired within India. So it's just a fascinating topic to me. So 10 out of 10 on theme. The game itself is awesome because you can have long.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Now that you said 10 out of 10 on a theme, yesterday I was trying to arrange to set up a game next Tuesday of John Company. And there was this guy, and he says, "Okay, what kind of game is this? Is it like Kemet? Is it like?" I said, "It's basically a negotiation game." And I start explaining the theme, and
did he fall
every
asleep?
sentence I say, every sentence I say, the guy says, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, wow, wow!" And he was so in love. Okay, the guy was a historian.
I approve of this person. I like him.
Yeah, I mean, this guy is amazing.
So yeah, so as far as like the gameplay itself, it's a lot of fun because there is strategy, but it's a very reactionary game. So for example, I managed to hold the chairman position for the entirety of the game, and what that meant was I was fully in control. Like I also managed to get a card which you can get from the scoring phase. I again don't want to go into too much detail, but it let me basically get shareholders for cheap. And every turn I was getting shareholders. So I had majority control, which meant I was always going to put myself as chairman. And I just had complete ownership of the company. But the company collapsed, which
Of
meant
course.
that I was the one that was most in debt. And I ended the game in the negative because I was in such a commanding position. And that's what I wanted to get to. It's amazing, but this is my main problem. I mentioned it last time. The designer has specifically addressed it. But I gotta reiterate it. The dice. The dice, the dice, the dice, the dice. You roll the dice after you set your resources, you've invested everything, you roll dice and you see what happens. And the designer has said that's the nature of it. That's the nature of adventuring and so on. Is it's always a gamble. No matter how much you invest, there is always an opportunity for failure. And I respect it, and I understand that it's a me problem that I have to get over it.
Would you feel better if it was not a dice and it was like a deck of cards that
Yes,
you draw?
because you're exactly because it's RNG, right? You can determine what's coming and what's already spent. But forgetting all that, I spent I was the president of I think Madras, and basically, and I was the chairman. I put so much money into making sure because I know how I roll dice, into making sure and I rolled 6 dice, needing a single one or two, and I didn't get one. And I understand everything that he said, but still the pain. I was ready to flip the table because that expedition and the one right after where the guy actually rolled 4 dice and also failed, those two had so much invested in them that when they failed, the company didn't have the money to really survive after that. And I raged about it. And then I finished and I was like, that was amazing. So in the
Because this is
moment,
supposed to happen, right?
exactly. So in the moment, it's infuriating. But if you take away like your desire to win above all else and just
Yeah.
appreciate afterwards the story, it's such a good story. And
Oh,
I had a great time. And but it wasn't the only reason it collapsed. Like the company was in a precarious position, and the guy who had complete control of the military, Chang, I mentioned him before, he wins everything. He had complete control of the military. He was like, I'm not going to win the game if the company succeeds. So he just decides to provoke India and basically set it on fire. So he basically, after conquering 90% of the map, basically, he goes and just pokes in different areas with armies not really strong enough to do enough, knowing
wow.
that he was about to cause a massive rebellion in India. And when that happened, the company failed because we didn't have the resources to survive that. And he won based on the failure. He knew he would have the most points because he had the most, I can't remember, military trophies or something. I can't remember. But the point is,
What an amazing story. That's the
yeah,
point.
yeah. It was an amazing. It was. I kept saying it's as if Clive of India did what he did, destroyed the Mughal Empire, and then it was like, you know what? If you're not going to give me all the money from this, I'm just gonna give all of India back to the Indians. And that's what happened because all he played the whole game was military. So he had no hope if the company did well, and it was doing well. And then when we failed on those dice rolls, he saw that short window where the company was close to bankruptcy. And he decided this would be a great time for India to uprise
Wow.
against. And he did that. And it was such a good time. And I hated it
How
so
much time was
much.
that?
I think it was like 4 hours, 3.5, 4 hours, something like that. So
Okay,
it was a
reasonable.
5-player game, but everyone learned the rules before they come. This group is very much a learn the rules before showing up kind of group. Um, but yeah, I ranted. I said this is the reason this game will never be in my top. I don't know what. And then as soon as like the fury went away, I was like, oh man, that was amazing. I can't wait to play again. I'm never letting go of this game. So yeah, I want you to know
What
that
what
I'm growing as a
what was the
person.
difference between this edition and the first one?
They've sort of integrated India onto the board, first of all, so it's a little clearer. The way the India cards work is way clearer because I remember when we played, I didn't know what was happening in India. I just was like,
Yeah.
whatever happens, happens. You can clearly see it in this one. It's very clear. And I don't super remember first edition, but I think they've added this social society phase where other than scoring, so buying estates, another reason to retire is to get these society cards, which can give you various buffs, or you can gain a spouse, which will give you an amazing buff, but it'll close off a certain part of the game to you. So it's this really cool balancing.
Wow, nice.
Yeah, it's very cool. It's a masterpiece
Do
of
you
design.
still roll a die to retire?
Yes, you do, and that's still there, and that didn't
For me,
bother me as much.
really.
Yeah, because I realized that you can position yourself to get the positions you want. So sometimes you want to die, so you can score points, right?
Yeah,
And if you
you're not dying,
position,
you're retiring.
you're retiring, yeah. And if you want to position, if you position things well and time things well, it's perfect because you retire and then you gain the positions you want to gain instead of the positions that you had the turn before. And so it's really a masterpiece. I can't get over the dice. I know that it's part of the game, and I'll try to be better, and not hate the
Um,
part. But I had a great time. What an amazing
Even
game!
if I love the game, I think that you are right about the dice. I think it is a problem, and he decided he made the, I guess the, uh, in for my English are not quite good for this.
My English
He
are
made
not
the
good. You've been
decision.
talking for 1 hour perfectly, and now you're like, my English are not good. What the fuck?
Because I'm trying to translate something in my mind from Greek to English and it doesn't work. Uh, so he made the conscious decision, that was the word I was trying to find,
Okay.
to not to resolve this problem. I mean, the
Yeah.
designer.
Yeah. I think it's more
So
than not to resolve. I think it's intentional that you should
exactly.
always be
So
able to fail. Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, as gamers, you were entitled to say that no, I would like to feel that at least I somehow can affect the outcome of this.
You're right. But at the same time, if that didn't happen, would I be talking about Junk Company today or another game that I played recently? So, it added an excitement to the game. I'm allowed to say I don't like it. You're right. And I don't. Um, but I understand its purpose in the game. And once I'm over the fury of failing, um, I think that was an amazing day. I had an amazing time.
I think you put it very well before when you said that if you really don't, if you don't care enough about winning and you care more about the story, then
Yeah.
you're okay.
Our friend playing it, Alistair, he hit it on the head. He said, I see it almost like a role playing game. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh wow, yeah, that's
Nice.
yeah. So
That's very nice.
So on the topic of Ippo not knowing how to translate conscious decision, it's time for the Ippokratic Corner.
Oh, thank you.
But as
I
per
was
the
just going to say
review,
that
what's up?
you made very exciting of playing John Company next week.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear about it. But as per our survey last, I don't know when it was, a couple of years ago, the Zorba the Greek intro song for the Ippokratic Corner was not very popular among listeners. So we've changed it to this much more appropriate tune. Ippo. Hippocratic Corner.
Welcome to the 34th again. What was the episode number?
Maybe we shouldn't talk about this. I don't think it's fascinating to the listeners.
Yeah, nobody cares about this. So what everybody cares though is the theme of this Hippocratic Corner, and it's a top 5. We did this amazing change from the previous episodes where everybody was coming with their top 3.
Wow.
No, top 3s.
Wow.
Top 3s are not in fashion anymore.
Wow.
It's now top 5s.
So
Because
a la mode.
the
so
more
en
the
vogue,
merrier.
So daring.
5 is an amazing number, opposite to 3, I guess. And now, for today's episode, we need to know your top 5 games to stand the test of time.
So what are the criteria for this?
Exactly. So, as I was going to say that in every Hippocratic Corner, in every top 3 I came up with, the criteria are not like straightforward. Every time people come up with different criteria of what exactly this riddle of Ippo means.
The one thing I did want to mention is you had one specific criteria, which is it has to be at least 10 years old. So the game has to be 2013 or older. Other than that, what were your criteria?
So my idea was that when we say that they stood up the test of time, so let's say the mechanism did it. Is it still today a fresh one that more games are using, new games are using, or do you want the exact game that you're gonna mention to be in fashion today, to be current, to be to when you sit on a table, say, okay, let's play this game.
It's up to you, I guess.
So my idea was, let me first say that I have a honorary mention, of course,
Of
always,
course,
out of the top 5, which is Concordia. It's a game of 2013 that we are playing almost every other Tuesday here in Qatar.
Yeah, our group here loves that game as well. It's good. I enjoyed it. Yeah.
It looks like the best trade in the Mediterranean theme game.
Probably. Yeah.
That you can play. It's very easy to teach, which is important. And the other thing that I feel was very, not very, but it was useful for me is that Lena made these inserts for the game from foam. And it's like you can set up the game I can set up the game in 2 minutes.
Nice.
Which really makes the difference.
That's huge. That's huge.
And I realized that, remember when you first made your insert, I don't remember what game you made it for. You made one insert like 10 years ago.
No, I made Zulkan. I made Russian railroads. I made I can't remember. I bought one.
So now I realize how nice it is to have an insert in a game.
100%.
And yesterday Lena completed the insert for Sleeping Gods.
Nice.
So that was also nice.
So I don't know. So is your criteria that it should be like Concordia? Is that the criteria?
No, I was just saying that it could be Concordia could have been in the top 6, in the top 5, but it's not.
Okay.
But it could have been, but I feel that it's yes.
So my criteria. Have you given us your criteria yet, or is it just a game that you could imagine on the table today? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, a game that still today.
Yeah.
If it goes up, you're gonna say, okay, let's play it.
Okay. I was a bit more specific. So I have five things that I needed them to meet because I had a huge list.
Wow.
One is replayability. So it can't be sort of solvable. So you know how like a few acres of snow, people kind of like figured out a strategy that works. So it can't be something like that. It doesn't feel samey. So like Through the Ages, I adore that game, but it can feel samey because you're doing similar actions, you know. Russian railroads, we were always opening with the same stuff, which is get an engineer or get the ruble, you know. It started to feel samey. And a game that doesn't have a natural built ending, like Sherlock Holmes or Consulting Detective or Tragedy Looper. It has to be one, like you said, that can compete with modern games, that doesn't show its age. I like variety, so that the game feels so. It's maybe a game that not every time you play you use all the aspects of it. Factions help, like Hiroshima Hex, Tashkalar, expansions, but I'm not a huge expansions guy, so I also want something that creates divergent narratives. So every time you play it based on maybe secret goals or objectives, you're going to automatically create a different story. You won't do the same thing. It doesn't have to be thematic. It could be a mathy game, but as long as it has like divergent strategies built in, that's interesting to me. And of course, it has to be a good game. So even though Cosmic Encounter meets all the above criteria, it's not going to count because it's trash. And of course, no
No.
stupid answers like chess or bridge, which I'm sure Ippo put on his list.
Okay, what I heard from you is like 5 different ways of describing replayability.
Yeah, sure. Or 5 different ways of describing games that stand the test of time. That might be.
Okay,
All right. So let's go.
so
Number 5.
my number 5 is Twilight Struggle,
Almost made my list. Almost.
2005, a game from 2005. Uh, so what is good on this game? This game was like number one in BGG like some years ago, and still today I think it's the theme. The Cold War is so fascinating. Having a map of the whole world in front of you, and having these nice colors, so it's either blue or red, and
Yeah.
it's a fast game, and it's a two-player game that I was playing with Basil like every week for 2 months when back in 2019, and we were really enjoying it. And every game was different
Yeah.
because it has some luck that is, I believe, is needed in two-player games. Because if you don't have the luck, then go play chess, which is the king, right? The king of games.
I knew you'd bring chess into this.
But at the same time, I didn't.
Okay.
So that's the reason that I have Twilight Struggle as
It almost made my list. The reason it didn't is I felt it could feel a bit samey. So I was playing with Eugenio a lot, back to back to back games, and whilst I had a great time learning the deck, I feel like once you learn the deck, it can start to feel a bit samey. But I have no issue with that being on your list. I think it's a great game. And one thing I will point out is if you're like me, um, if you find yourself having similar taste to me, which I'm sorry, um, play that game with someone who's better than you. Because when I played that game with people who were at equal levels with me, I had no interest in the game. And I sold you my copy, right? Like that's my copy that you bought
Yes.
off of me. But when I played with Eugenio, because he had played the game like 60 times or something, he was so much better. His understanding of the deck made me want to get that good. So I took the time to sort of learn my deck as I was playing, and I had a great time. So that's a good pick. My number 5 is Terra Mystica, which came out in 2013, so right on the cusp. What I enjoy about that game, the combination of races makes it unique every time. So even if you feel like you sort of getting an idea, all right, I get workers, I get shovels, try playing the Darklings. They use priests to terraform, you know. If you get the expansion, it changes the map, gives you more races. And it's a really, really good game that I always kept coming back to. And, you know, if I'm being completely honest, if you want something that will stand the test of time, Gaia Project is the better pick because it has a variable map, right? But Gaia Project came out in the last 10 years, so I can't pick that. But I still prefer Terra Mystica to Gaia Project. It's just more charming. And it was the first heavy Euro, I'm putting that in quotations, that really like got its claws into me. And I know it's a bit of a biased pick, and I tried very hard to get it on the list. And I think I knocked off a couple options that were better options, but I do think Terra Mystica till today, if someone says you want to play Terra Mystica, I'm in. I'm always in for Terra Mystica. So it's a great game, and the factions are really what makes it variable, and the combination, the way factions play with each other. So like playing against dwarves, for example, they can tunnel out. So it doesn't matter so much if you try to close them in terms of area control, or if you're playing with fakirs because they have flying carpet. But if you're playing with someone who really needs the land around them, shutting them down is a valuable sure. So it's just got so much to it. And depending on the player count, it changes a lot because of that, the way the map sort of contracts with more players. And it's one of my favorite games of all time. So Terra Mystica is my number 5.
I agree, and I want to add that the Terra Mystica changed the game design. Uh, Other games came like that and trying to copy it, and the mechanisms and the buildings coming from your board on the map and unlocking new actions.
Yeah,
That was ingenious.
it was.
And
It was. Yeah.
and then I guess it came again with Scythe and so many other games later.
Sure.
So yes, very good pick.
Thank you.
So now with my number 4, I think I'm going to surprise you. I was thinking a lot about this game for the last month, and maybe that's the reason that it's here in number 4. And that game is Catan.
Oh my God.
Settlers of Catan, as I learned the game back in my days. So this game is from 2001, and I was thinking, something, when we have new players joining us in the Tuesday night group, I want a game where there is interaction, and this is the best game where you can trade with other players.
I disagree.
I was thinking, okay, what are other games? I was thinking the only game that I love the trading phase is the Civilization, from the original one from Francis Tresham.
Yeah, I was gonna say Civilization.
But this is a 12 hours game.
Yeah, but you could play Asante. That has a good trading system in it. Nothing
Not
coming off
aware
the
of
top of
that.
my head right now, but
So I was thinking Trade on the Tigris.
I haven't played that.
game. I haven't played that either, but I know that it's a game from Jeff Engelstein, the guy from the podcast Ludi what?
Ludology.
Ludology. Thank you. And he said that the game is based on the trading mechanisms of Francis Tresham's Civilization.
Nice.
So I was thinking this is the game for me, but it's a game from 2018. Anyway, I have not played that game. So Catan is the game that for new players, they will make the jump from Monopoly and Scramble to hobby games to Euro games, and they will have fun, and they want to play again and again. And its replayability in my group is proven. We were playing this game for years without having, of course, at that time we didn't have anything else to play, but that's irrelevant, I guess.
I thought about it because like my sister doesn't love board games, but she loves Catan. I guess it didn't meet one criteria, which is that it has to be a good game. No,
Yeah, which
no,
is
no, hate-
completely,
no hate.
not
this
objective.
This is not the top
Subjective.
5. This is our top 5. And
This is your top 5. You're right. Yeah.
yeah, and Catan just wouldn't make it. Maybe if we were looking objectively at it, it might make it. But I definitely
quite
am
right,
not
yeah.
being objective. So
That's a good argument. Yeah.
and
So
on
what's your
that,
number 4?
my number 4 is one game that you don't like, so it's perfect. It's A Study in
Oh.
Emerald, but specifically the first edition, which came out also in 2013, so also barely made the cutoff.
It's not the game. It's not the game I don't like.
I
like
thought
that
you
game.
didn't. I don't remember. Anyway, the reason I think it works so well, I played it again recently. We had a cabin trip where we just played board games for 2 straight days. It was amazing. But every game of that game is unique. Like it can be as serious or as silly as you want it to be. There are items in that game, like physical items that I've never seen in the game. Zombies, vampires, like they're so conditional depending on what you choose to do or what comes up. It has so much replayability. And the hidden role alliance system makes it engaging but light at the same time. Because it feels like Avalon, or it feels like, but you're doing like meaty, big decisions and the actions you choose and the decks that you choose. And the fact that you're playing this whole game without like trying to take it seriously, but have no idea who your partners are is amazing. It's just an automatic
That's
agent of chaos. And the last time we played it during this cabin trip, it was so great because one guy basically assassinated his partner. So
it can happen.
yeah,
It had happened before
it
in a
happened.
cabin.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But no, I really like it. I think I hear the second edition took away a lot of that chaos and variability, which would make the second edition not eligible for this. But it's a game that every time I bring it out, I don't know what's going to happen. Like I really don't. And that natural narrative and fun and variability and chaos and the amount of different things you can get, it makes it on my top 10 list of games that stand the test of time. Top 5.
Nice. I would say not only it's a good game, I was trying to get one in the latest Greek math trade.
Oh, nice. I thought you didn't like
Yeah.
it for some reason.
I remember when we played it, I think most of the people didn't like it.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Maybe, I mean, Deema didn't like it the first time, but when we played it at this cabin, she said she had a great time. So I think she didn't really get it the first couple it looks like a serious game, but it isn't. And that I think is the trick there. So
And it's a Martin Wallace game. How can I not like it?
true. Moving on to number 3.
Okay, so my number 3, I'm gonna go fast with this because it's Terra Mystica.
Oh, nice pick. That's a good
Which
pick.
is it's 2012. I just want to add some trivia that this game publisher is Feuerlandspiele, the German company that it translates to Land of Fire,
Nice.
and it was founded by Uwe Rosenberg.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I didn't know that either. I mean, I was searching about it, and it's a Uwe Rosenberg company. So the
Very
guy and they were saying that the most sales from the company are from Terra Mystica and Agricola,
That makes
which
sense.
makes sense.
But yeah, I mean, obviously I had 2013, but I guess that was the English version. So great. I wasn't on the cusp. Yeah, I can't argue. So let's time to get serious. Okay. My number
Okay.
3 is PAX Renaissance, which came
Oh
out
my
in
God.
2012. Hey folks, it's Elias chiming in while editing. PAX Renaissance came out in 2016. This pick is ineligible, but that's not going to stop me from rambling about it for a couple of minutes. So let's get on with it. If you want to, you can slot in Pax Porfiriana or Pamir here, but I think Renaissance is the best example of this. It comes with a huge deck of cards, and you use so few cards from that deck. So the possibilities of randomness in that game, of what could happen, means it's a divergent narrative every time. So that means certain aspects like religion can play a huge role or not even be part of the game when you play the game. And it's a good story if you find history interesting, right? So if you like, the history of, the great game, Pax Pamir would be worth to go. But if you find, the Italian banking era interesting at all, Pax Renaissance is fascinating to me. So I like the story that it tells because the emphasis on art versus religion versus rulers versus coups, it's different depending on the deck of cards you come out. Plus, it feels very different at 2 players, at 3 players, and at 4 players. So at 2 players, it feels like a chess game. At 3 players, it feels like you're looking for the right moment to opportunistically change something. And because the deck changes so drastically, it's a very different game. And yeah, that's why it's my number 3. I think I could play that game for the next 20 years and have a different
You really
experience every
shocked
time.
me. You
Really?
shocked me with this pick, and the reason is not that it's not a good game. I mean, I love that game. It's a ingenious design. I just realized that I have one more criterion, I guess, when I was picking this top 5, and this is that in order to stand the test of time, it should have been a popular game. So it was never a popular game to stand any the test of time. It
Then
was
you're
always
not-
in
you're
the
not gonna like-
outskirts of the hobby.
You're not gonna like my next two picks either.
So it never occurred to me that it could go to my top 5 because do you get what I'm trying to say? Because
Totally
I'm
get
not
it.
sure I'm making
I feel
sense.
like you're trying to make the top 5 games to stand the test of time. I'm making my top 5 games to stand. I'm not trying to pick games that other people might like. I'm trying to say of the
Okay.
games I've played, which ones do I think could stand the test of time to play again in 20 years?
Okay.
That's-
When my top 5 is more like the games that I really admire,
Yeah.
that they stood the test of time. And
So
they stay
congratulations,
popular.
listeners.
If-
You get 2 separate lists.
Okay, so having
Number
said
2.
that, let's go to number 2. And my number 2 is Brass Lancashire. Is it Lancashire? Lancashire?
Lancashire.
No idea.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Which is 2007 Marty Wallace economic game about the industry, the industrial world in 19th century England. And for the people that they don't know this trivia, his sister Brass Birmingham is now number 1 in Board Game Geek.
Who doesn't know that? There have been like feuds happening, people like downvoting it, people downvoting Gloomhaven, and I just keep thinking, where do these people find all this time?
Well, I'm gonna guess they are students. So between their math class and their gym, they're gonna go to their mobile phone and just downvote Brass Lancashire.
I was too busy. I was too busy as a student, lying to myself that if I tried hard enough, I could be cool. So I.
So yes, Brass. I guess it's a really fantastic economic game. They have this amazing market where you can manipulate the cost, and this brilliant idea that you can buy the resources that the other people are producing. So I guess this is the base of this design, and this is what made it really popular. And still today, I have people saying, okay, maybe next week let's play Brass. So
You know, my group here loves Brett. It's like in the top 3. But I have a confession to make. I own this game, but I've never played it.
you have the first edition, right?
Yeah, I do. But my group has the new Lancashire and Birmingham. But I mean, I want to so badly. It's just never. Whenever
Do
they
you know
want to
the
play
rules?
it, no.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh my God.
it's a huge blind spot for me. Yeah,
and you call yourself a podcaster? This
you're
is
right.
number 1.
I'm ashamed. I'm gonna learn it today. I'm canceling all my meetings for the day. Okay.
I mean, yeah, you need to play one of those. I mean, either the Lancashire.
No, I
or
will.
Birmingham.
It's gonna happen very soon. Yeah.
But even if you don't, I mean, it's not the end of time. As
I
we said, this
appreciate
is a
it. I
game that
appreciate that.
stood the test of time, so I guess it will be out there for the next 10 years. So it's not a rush.
That's some advanced dad joking. All right, my number 2, I don't think you've played. It's a game that was not available in English for ages. It's called Yinkopolis, and it came out in 2012. Yinkopolis is a game about you're all building a city at the same time, but there's a element of control and an element of scoring. So it's a very reactionary game. It's based on a drafting of cards which you're passing around, and it's deceptively heavy. Like, it's one of those games that the rules are like 4 pages, but it'll break your head when you're trying to play the game. And it has that classic game thing of like Go and chess of reaction. So you can have a strategy, but the minute someone else does something, that strategy is changing. But unlike Go and chess, it feels current, right? Um, you cannot play the same game twice. Every time you play the game, depending on the cards that people or the choices people make, it will be very different. And it's a mean game, but that you can also be mean right back very quickly. So you don't feel like victimized in the game and you always feel like you're in contention. The reason I think it will stand the test of time is the simplicity versus depth ratio. This has one of the highest simplicity to depth ratio. So you can learn, that old learn the game in minutes, master it in years or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, it's that, right? But you'll never master it because
So it's like
it's
every Dutch game. What was the Zimbabwe, the Great Zimbabwe, and things like.
maybe, but there are some strategies in that game you can use, right? So if you go into Vuce and Magnet and say I'm just going to react, you're not going to do well. Like you have to have a plan, you have to work. If you're playing the Great Zimbabwe, you have to have an idea of which leaders, which specialists and which gods you want to go for, and sort of reacting to what other people pick. But when I mean reactionary, I mean every turn is reactionary. I don't mean your strategy is reactionary. I mean,
Oh,
you can think, I want to do this turn, but you're not going to do because
so
by the
it's more
time
of
the others play.
tactical game.
Yeah, tactical is a great description of it. It's a really good game. It feels very tactical, but it's agonizing. You're like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do it, but it's so good. I really like the game, and I just feel like because of that rule set versus how much agonizing, interesting decisions there are, versus um, how much you have to put your brain into it, and it hurts your brain with such a simple rule set. I think that's a great recipe for standing the test of time. And there are other games that fall into this category, but Ginkgopolis is my pick to represent that. So,
I'm very happy you brought a game that I have not played. I'm looking at some pictures right now, and is there a new edition? Because this really
yeah,
looks
yeah. The
not
new
nice.
what? You don't like the pink cylinders? They
No,
look great.
pink and gray cylinders over yellow tiles.
Yeah, they still have that. That didn't go away. So. I think it looks
Anyway,
great. I,
but I
I
want to play it now. Now that you talked about it, I want to play it.
Yeah, it's excellent because, and another thing about it, the complexity I didn't mention is, it's just tiles next to each other, but the tiles also go upwards in terms of stories, and that increases the strategy and complexity tenfold. Like the fact that there's a third dimension to it.
Wow.
It makes my brain hurt, and it's 4 pages of rules or something. So
Do you remember
respect
the
to it.
designer?
Javier George, is that correct?
I don't know. I mean, I was thinking, is it from a famous designer or he just did Ginkgopolis and fade away?
It is Javier George, and no,
It
he
is
did
Javier
he,
George.
he did Trois, he did Black Angel, he
Oh,
did
that guy.
Carson
I don't like
City.
I don't like Troy at all. Like,
I haven't
I
played
don't,
Trois, but I really enjoyed Black Angel. So
and I didn't like Black Angel too much.
all right, so maybe you would enjoy this one.
But I liked Carnegie.
I haven't played that, so yeah,
I have played it only in Board Game Arena.
yeah. All right.
Okay,
Yep.
so my
Number
number
one.
one.
Yeah.
My number one is for sure it's not a game that you have in your top five because you specifically excluded it from your criteria in the beginning. Any idea?
Through the Ages.
It's Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
No, Ippo, you can't. You can't. You can't play that game for long. Okay, all right.
Okay, what it means when we say it stood the test of time? So it's a game from 1982,
Yes.
and still today is selling copies. And
Yes.
if somebody comes and asks me, okay, I want to take a puzzle storytelling game, this is the best.
I
This
agree.
is the best.
I agree.
It brought to the table the narration. It brought the book that we were talking about before in Sleeping Gods. Actually, it's Sleeping Gods. If you think about it, what is it? It's Sherlock Holmes with a map that is now a book and not just a map, and with a book of stories. So it's Sherlock Holmes consulting detective. You read the passage in the book, and you're trying to find out what's going on, and then you can move different locations. So this is the basis for not only for Sleeping Gods, for the game Detective from Ignacy Trzewiczek, I would argue, and also City of Angels and all this genre,
No, I
right?
agree, and it's an amazing game, and but the reason I can't be on there is I own the game. We played it 10 times. I had to get rid of it because there was no more value to it. So I sold it, and then I bought the second one. I played through all of that one, and now I bought the third one. So and there's four of them, I think. So the point is, you I don't know. By that rationale, like I would pick 18xx at the top of my list because if you can buy a whole genre of games, 18xx is the most replayable game there is. So I
But again, it's not about replayability. It's the game stood the test of time, not for you,
yeah,
but
based on your
for the people.
categories. Look, it's an amazing game, but because it's finite, I couldn't put it in my list. But I respect it and I adore it and I wholeheartedly recommend it. I don't believe you've played
Okay.
my number one either. It's from
Oh.
2007, Container.
Oh.
So, Container is a very simple game. You have ships, you have a board where you can produce goods. Those goods can get purchased by other people and then placed in their warehouses. And then ships can dock into those warehouses and they can buy those goods. And then when they get to the central island that you're all from, um, people bid on it, on whatever containers are on that ship. So people just bid on that, and the one with the highest bidder, it goes to them, or you can match that bid, give them the money, and take it for yourself. I just explained to you 90% of the rules of the game. Like you're
But
almost ready
how,
to
how
play
do
it.
you make points? I mean, is it set
It's
selection?
money. It's money. Whoever makes the most money.
Oh.
So the reason it's the number one is the game completely gets out of the way. Like the game so the game is so simplistic rules wise that you're not thinking about rules or the game. All you think about are player decisions because the market of money is a closed market unless people make certain decisions to bring in more money. Um, it's the saturation of certain goods depends exclusively on how many people choose to produce it. Who are you undercutting price wise? When you undercut them, are they going to undercut you or are they going to diverge? Um, the game itself doesn't do any of this. It's just a couple decisions. You get two actions a turn. Um, so what you're playing with is the other people. And so every group that I play it with, it's a unique game. It's a whole different experience. The main components and game factors are the other players in the group, which is awesome. The game itself is a construct for you to play a game of all of you guys going up against each other in this closed financial system. And it's phenomenal. It's so good. I love this game and I want a copy so bad. But then Deema goes, "Oh, Alistair has the game. Oh, you don't need to pay hundreds of dollars for it." And I'm like, it's just
Why
so
is this
hard.
game hundreds of
It's hard to
dollars?
get. It's impossible to get. It's super hard to get. Um, but it's for me, it's incredibly replayable because let me tell you, you can play a 5 player game in a couple hours. Or it could take a little longer depending on the strategies you use, but you could easily play a 5 player game within 2 hours. And that includes the teach because the teach is 5 minutes. But there's just, your decisions are producing things or purchasing things, putting them up for sale, or going to the island and then your auction. I mean, it's so simplistic that the island board is just the board, a board with an island, which is kind of like a scoreboard, and then the ocean is just the table. So when you're in the ocean, your ship is just sitting on the table, and the game, it gets out of your way and lets you play with the other people, which is not just my favorite kind of replayable game. It's what this podcast is all about, Ippokratic.
Oh. Okay, I have to say, I want to play this game for so long.
Yeah.
And it's also a beautiful game. I'm not sure if I am looking at the new edition.
The new edition with the big ships. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah. And as you say, it's so simplistic. At the same time, they say it's a heavy game.
Yeah.
And interaction, it's in its finest.
Top notch.
Yeah, I want to play, and I thought that there would be a new a bunch of games, so we won't have to pay hundreds of dollars on a game like that. I was thinking maybe a Kickstarter will come, but you're
But
saying
the last edition was a Kickstarter. So
in 2018, that one, right?
yeah, the jumbo edition. Yeah, I wanted to back it by the time I was in Qatar, and shipping that on Shop and Ship would have cost me like hundreds of dollars. So I didn't.
And now we have Deema.
No, I have to. But the arguments might be false because the guy who owns it might be leaving Toronto, and if he does, there will be
Oh
a
my God.
huge container shipped hole in my life that I'll need to fill. Anyway, that
So-
brings us to the end of this tabletop session. Ippo, is there anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think that I really enjoyed your top 5.
I really enjoyed yours, even though I think fundamentally we came from different perspectives, but that's what's cool about your top 5s. They make no sense. Thank you all for
Exactly.
listening. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Tabletop Sessions. Join the conversation and let us know what your top 5 was this month over at our Board Game Geek Guild. You can find the link to both of these in the episode description. We'll be back in a month. And until then, to quote one of my favorite writers, oh yes, it's still here. God damn it, you've got to be kind. Say bye, Ippo.
Bye, guys. God damn it, you've got to keep playing.
I'll take it.
Tabletop, tabletop, tabletop,
Take
top,
it.
tabletop, 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 top. Session.